Hello and welcome to Mabinda TV. So for now, I'd like us to really wish that Ibrahim Traore, that we pray for him. Ibrahim Traore is undergoing so much pressure at home, and I think this is the time for every African to be offering their prayers for Ibrahim Traore. I think he is a mercurial leader for not just for Burkina Faso but for Africa, and I think that's why you see the attempts on his life. We need to be praying for him. We don't have a single African leader that has stood up to the West and survived. So you heard, I think Ibrahim Traore is the reincarnation of Thomas Sankara, and I think we need to be praying for Ibrahim Traore to be able to survive these assassination attempts. You heard that basically you heard that a soldier was paid $5 million by France in order to assassinate Ibrahim Traore, and of course you know that France has a stronger hold on those countries. France has a stronger hold on the countries that it used to colonize. So the 14 former colonies of France in Africa, they are an extension of its sphere of influence, and that's why France basically treats them as its backyard. Basically, and France foreign policy has never changed. It uses these 14 former colonies to be able to advance its agenda. And when you get a leader such as Ibrahim Traore, and then basically you get a leader that is going to stand up for his country, a leader that is not afraid to be killed, a leader that comes forward, says these resources should be used for my people. Why are we producing gold and yet my people are not benefiting? That's what the question. That's the question that African leaders should be asking themselves. Why am I producing this gold, this diamond, this iron, this oil, and it is not helping my people? This is what African leaders should be asking themselves. Why are they not helping their people to develop? And I think when you get a leader that basically wants to help their people, then basically you get that they basically just work for the West. That's what African leaders, and I think Western countries did not give us independence out of free will. They really did not give us independence. They saw that the running of the colonies was getting difficult. So what did they do? They left the continent they left Africa in the hands of leaders that were puppets. We have puppets in Africa. That's what it is. We have puppets in Africa. These puppets are not leading us. These puppets are basically not doing any work. They are simply shuffling off resources to the West, and this is why Africa continues to be underdeveloped. So you have an Africa, on the one hand, we have incompetent leaders, you might ask, but the West does not choose these leaders. I know that's the question that you want to ask, but the West does not choose these leaders. So why are you saying that the West will be West is interfering in African matters, that they don't choose these leaders? But what kind of backroom deals do they sign? Why is it that when you want to sever your ties with IMF and World Bank, they suddenly want to kill you? Why is it that when you want to sever your ties with Washington, with Elise Paris, with France, with Britain, they want to kill you? Because they know these leaders need to develop their people just enough so that then they can prosper, and basically just enough so that these people can be slaves to the Western world. And I think that is a two-way system of oppressing Africa. First of all, get semi-average leaders. You can't be sure, I can assure you, that no leader in Africa is working for their people except Ibrahim Traore. So when you are working for their people, look at Bola Tinubu of Nigeria. He spends more days in France than he spends in Nigeria. Look at William Ruto of Kenya. He basically is a flying president, flying all over and taking on unnecessary loans that burden the Kenyan taxpayer. Look at any president of Africa. They are basically tying their economies with the West, and this is why Africa is not growing at all. This is why Africa is not growing, because we are having leaders that are hell-bent on we are having leaders that are hell-bent on sustaining the Western dominance of Africa. And I think you heard the writer Walter Rodney say that how Europe underdeveloped Africa. That is the writer Walter Rodney saying how Europe underdeveloped Africa. And it is in so many ways, but one of those ways is in leadership. And in leadership, we are not yet free. We are not yet free. The African that is going to develop their people basically is in chains. The African that is going to develop their people, they gang up and basically eliminate him, or maybe want him to be compromised. And this is why this challenge of developing Africa, this is why this challenge of ensuring that Africa is sustainable, this challenge has to go on. The leader that is going to develop Africa is going to face a lot of challenges, but I urge them to be steadfast. I urge them to be able to come along and so be able to ensure that they are going to, their people are going to prosper. That's the way we are going to ensure that these leaders in Africa get to work for their people. That's the way we are going to ensure that these leaders in Africa get to work for their people. This is how we are going to ensure that these leaders are going to work for us. So let's pray for Ibrahim Traore. He's undergoing, he has to walk with the with the bulletproof. He has to walk everywhere with a bulletproof. He knows he could be killed by any of his soldiers, but he is steadfast in developing his country. So let's put our prayers for Ibrahim Traore so that he can develop his country and ensure that the people basically get to ensure that the people get to be able, ensure that the people get to develop. I pray that Ibrahim Traore is going to ensure that he develops his country. So we are going to be, let's stand with him. He is undergoing a very tumultuous time in Burkina Faso, but I'm saying that I think he is the leader Africa needs, and so let's stand up for him so that then we can develop this. Burkina Faso can be developed. So what do you think about Ibrahim Traore? So let me know in the comment section.